Welcome back, everyone. Bowl season is finally here, and of course, Northeast Bowl Rush is back after a little bit of a break. In between, a lot of life happened. One of us had our school lose to our arch rival, but that's fine. Because there's one more game for us. But and then John, you've been running around with life. So anything to say before we kick this off, John?
I mean, I guess that's the benefit of rooting for a school that is unrivaled, trademarked. If you could say any of any of the teams on our schedule were our rivals, we probably would have lost to them in the back half of the season. But I guess we're lucky that we don't have a true rival at this moment.
I mean, there ain't no party like a land grant trophy party, and a land grant trophy party don't stop. So, I mean, I want to debate that phrase a bit, but or I guess that statement a bit, but yeah, I guess it is a benefit. But I must say that it doesn't hurt as much now. I mean, not being forced to the game, not being forced to go to the game really affects your emotions in some way. Like, I still care, but I recognize that c'est la vie, life goes on, and bowl games await. So
yeah, this is true.
So to say the least, before we kick off, I guess most of our predictions for our bowl games, our destinations for the Northeastern Bowl eligible teams were wrong. I think we got, honestly, probably like one destination in team right, or two, give or take, looking back. I mean, we didn't have any. I think our concrete predictions, we had Maryland going to Arizona and Penn State in the pinstripe, at least on your end, I think, John. And then on my end for Penn State, I had Penn State going to Vegas, which they took Wisconsin, another fan base that travels well. So you can't really go wrong there. But, it's just like, what side of the coin flips when it comes to Big Ten bowl projections, because the teams are so far away. So, I guess anything to add before on our projections beforehand and our accuracy or lack thereof?
No, I mean, I definitely didn't see the Outback Bowl coming for Penn State. That's for sure. So, win some, you lose some.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a New Year's Day bowl technically. You can twist that as my team went to a New Year's Day bowl and your team didn't. So that's always a good thing about those bowls that linger. I thought it was funny last year when it was like the Birmingham Bowl was randomly placed on New Year's Day before ultimately not being played. Where like some random 5-5 group of five team could say, yeah, we went to a New Year's Day bowl, and you guys didn't. So unfortunately that didn't happen. But I always think it's funny, like having those extra New Year's Day bowls.
Yeah, that you can very craftily word your bragging rights.
So I guess we're on the topic of New Year's Day bowls. So we have Penn State and Arkansas in the Outback Bowl for the first Northeastern team we're going to go over. What do you think about this matchup in general, John? Who do you have coming out on top?
Yeah, so let me start by saying that I think that the whole landscape of college football is super interesting now for the bowl games in particular, with early signing period and that necessitating that coaches move around. In addition, you have obviously players opting out of bowl games, to prepare for the draft or what have you. So like a lot of these teams that we're seeing are going to be way different than the ones that we saw throughout the entire season. So it makes these games kind of a little bit difficult to predict. So that being said, Penn State loses its longtime defensive coordinator, Brent Pry, replace him with Manny Diaz from Miami. And also Anthony Poindexter stays on as co-defensive coordinator, although Manny Diaz is not a co-defensive coordinator. So it's D coordinator and co-defensive. I don't know. Reminds me of the old Scrubs bit. I don't know if you ever watched that with JD and Elliot being chief residents or whatever. But anyway, good stuff there. So the defense was great for Penn State this year. I would love to see that matchup against Arkansas. Their offense looks really potent with KJ Jefferson. I think they were pretty balanced. They're averaging something like 440 yards a game, almost equal on the ground versus the air. So and throwing in 31 points as well. So I think that matchup between Arkansas's offense and Penn State's defense, which is only letting up about 16 points a game, is going to be really interesting. We don't have any word on who's going to be playing, who's going to be opting out for Penn State. Could be Jahan Dotson, the star wide receiver, Jaquan Brisker, the safety, maybe Arnold Ebikite, the D end, a couple of these other guys who might be heading out for the draft. Either way, I think it's going to be a really fun matchup. Sean Clifford is back. He'll most likely be playing, I imagine, the quarterback for Penn State. So it's going to be a fun matchup. Arkansas, their star wide receiver, Traylon Burks, I saw that he actually opted out recently. So going to be some new guys stepping in. I honestly probably like Penn State in this, even taking my homer hat off. I know they've lost 5 of the last 7, and Arkansas is coming in winning 4 of the last 5. But I think with a healthy Clifford, and depending on who else opts out, as opposed to, we know that Arkansas's Traylon Burks is definitely opting out. I think I give Penn State the slight edge in a close one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Was looking forward to the Traylon Burks versus John Dotson receiver sort of matchup, seeing who would top one another on that one. But I will say this: the quarterback battle takes center stage now. KJ Jefferson, great dual threat, and I think it's funny with both quarterbacks being overshadowed by quarterbacks in their own divisions, whether it's CJ Stroud in the Big Ten East for Sean Clifford, or KJ Jefferson with Bryce Young and Alabama. Jefferson, of course, great dual threat too. Doesn't make many mistakes. 21 touchdowns, 3 picks. So we should see some really quality quarterback play. But I think we'll see like a really hard fought game, honestly. Sam Pittman loving to run the ball. I mean, it's a balanced attack, but they're going to grind it out too with Jefferson and they're running back by committee. But I think this one might be one of the more even bowl games. And I feel like bowl games like the Outback Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, where you're pitting the best of the rest in the Power 5 conferences. I feel like those bowls are always the hardest to really predict. So should be a fun one out in Tampa for sure. I'm not sure if Penn State has been to the Outback Bowl many times before. I think it's usually always the Citrus Bowl that they usually go to. But I guess it should just be a great game in general, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think most people would say Penn State overachieved a little bit to get to this bowl, or maybe underachieved during the regular season and still got put in the bowl anyway. So, hats off to them for doing it. But I honestly think that, that even being said, I still like them to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, because with them having 5 losses too, I would have definitely put maybe like Wisconsin in this bowl game, with it being on New Year's Day, which, like, honestly, if it's New Year's Day, it doesn't even matter that much, unless it's a New Year's Six game. Like it's all just like window dressing. But I was surprised to see, to say the least, with this bowl destination. Again, it should be a great game. Sound like broken record. For our next bowl, we're gonna backtrack a bit to the bowl, I guess, to follow the bowl schedule more. And I guess I'll put on my homer hat or try to take it off with the Armed Forces Bowl between Army and Missouri. Pretty excited for this one too, because it seems like it's a shame that the state of college football, for the Group 5 at least, is that the crowning achievement for a non-conference champion, even a conference champion Group of 5 team, is to play a Power 5 team, even if it's a 6-6 one. Like we saw this with Cincinnati and Boston College in the 2020 Birmingham Bowl, where it's like didn't seem like much of a reward. It seemed like a complete waste of time going in, with Cincinnati going in at 11-2 or 10-3, and then Boston College at 6-6. But that's a point for another time. The matchup that everyone has their eyes on beforehand is Army's option against Missouri's rush defense, and Missouri has, I think, the number 125, I believe, rush defense. So you have that one too. And if Army sticks to the game plan and doesn't trust the pass as much as they have lately, then I think Army should be fine. So I want your thoughts on this Armed Forces Bowl coming up.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. I took a look at the stats. I think Mizzou is letting up about 230 yards a game, which is like bottom 7 or 8 in FBS on the ground. So I certainly like Army's option attack against that. I think they're favored by 4. So I think that makes sense. I like them maybe even a little bit more than that. Tyler Batty from Mizzou apparently will be playing the running back. And actually, head coach Eli Drinkwitz said that there's going to be an open competition for quarterback after Connor Baselick. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. The Mizzou quarterback didn't really come back from injury too well I think he got hurt middle of the season, so they're no, it's never really a good sign to have an open quarterback competition, going into a bowl game. So I like Army a little bit more in that game. My question to you, though, would be how historically has Army or other service academies done in bowl games compared to, I guess, the field? You would think, yeah, you're playing an uncommon opponent, so they probably aren't used to the triple option all that much, but at the same time, they have a month to prepare, thereabouts. So how have the historical results been?
So okay, so for Army at least, I'm gonna go one by one with the academies with what I can remember. Excuse me. So with the Army, Army's been on so they won the 2010 Armed Forces Bowl. The offense wasn't doing so great in that game, but that was a while back. They won the 2010 Armed Forces Bowl. 2016 against North Texas, a team they actually played earlier that season. They set the Cotton Bowl record for most rushing yards in the game at the Cotton Bowl. They ran for I think 480 in overtime game. So that was a good data point there. San Diego State in 2017, they held the ball for over 40 minutes there. So they did very good against a very good San Diego State team in 2017. 2018, I'm pretty sure you would remember this one too. The 70-14 Houston game that pretty much sealed Major Applewhite's fate at Houston.
Oh, yeah, I had forgotten about that, but yeah, yikes.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange experience too. I mean, and again, I will say that game was helped by Ed Oliver not playing, spending most of his time pushing people over a puffy jacket on the sideline. Again, I'm digging out of your out of the college football memory bank here too. That was a very strange year for Houston, but again, that they did well in that one. 2019 no bowl. 2020. That was a bit strange because that was a COVID year and Army was placed in Liberty Bowl on, I think, 11 days notice. So offense didn't do well. With Navy, I think they've been as successful in terms of bowl games. So I don't think the month really prepares, to be honest with you, in terms of the academies. And I think if anything, playing the Army Navy game in the second week of December kind of helps Army and Navy with their bowls. So yeah, and I guess with the rush defense as bad as Missouri's, I don't think the extra time is going to help much. So yeah, I mean that's all I got in terms of the passing and pass team's game planning for the option.
A little bit less rust for Army. The option, the run game is going to roll. I like the Black Knights in that one.
And as much as I hate to play the motivation card, there's times when the motivation card's a cop out, the 2019 Sugar Bowl with Georgia and I think Baylor Georgia and Texas, the famous Longhorn Nation we're back game. I felt that was kind of a cop out saying Georgia wasn't motivated. I think motivation might be a factor in terms of Army just losing the Navy. And of course Jeff Monken is known for being a fiery leader. So, he's going to get in everyone's faces too. And I guess as we head off of this matchup, I think the matchup I'm looking forward to the most, aside from Army versus Missouri's rush defense, would be Tyler Beatty versus just a very strong West Point front seven, because you have Nolan Cockrell, who had a strong year at defensive tackle and was getting all-star game looks. I'm not sure if he's been invited yet. I'm thinking the Hula Bowl might invite him. Might want to archive that one later for if it happens to pull out. But they got Nolan Cockrell. They have Andre Carter, who's a third-team All-American outside linebacker with, I think, 13 and a half sacks. And then Eric Smith, who has 78 tackles and actually won the Defender of the Nation award, which I know they're the same people that give out, I think, the Lombardi Award or whatever. But one of the defensive awards decided to give a Best Service Academy defender. And it's a cool award, but I can't help but laugh at how corny the name is, the Defender of the Nation Award. Whatever it is, he won that. So just a strong front seven against Tyler Beatty. And it always seems like Army's putting out, or the academies are putting out, really good linebackers, like Fagot of Navy. As much as I'm not a fan of Diego Fagot, I do have to admit he's a very solid linebacker. Cole Christensen getting time with the Chargers this past year, John Radigan on the Seahawks right now. So yeah, just strong linebacking tradition for Army. So it should be interesting to see this play out in Fort Worth.
Right on.
So yeah, I've said my piece to avoid being a homer. I don't think I've given a prediction, so I'll keep it that way. I don't want to jinx it. So I guess we'll move to our next bowl, with that being I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I guess we'll go to the Military Bowl, keeping it within the Group of Five and a Power Five. So we have Boston College versus East Carolina, and I think of all the Group of Five versus Power Five bowl games, this one might be the most evenly matched because I can see this one going either way. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it could be. I think BC is favored by a couple, slight edge in this one, and I think them getting Dracovic back not only for the year but for next year bodes well. Uh, from all signs, I think he's going to play and start in this game, so I don't think you have anything to worry about there. BC reportedly did have a couple of guys enter the transfer portal in the last couple of weeks, but I don't think any were really stars or primary contributors, so it's not a huge concern there. East Carolina has won 4 of the last 5 games, the only loss being to obviously playoff bound Cincinnati. So been a pretty solid team down the stretch here. Their offense is looking pretty good. Holden Ayers, the quarterback, has had a decent season. I wouldn't say amazing, but not bad. Keaton Mitchell, the running back, is an 1,100-yard rusher. I like the matchup. Yeah, I think BC probably ends up taking it, but yeah, like you said, it's going to be pretty close. Certainly the Pirates have a chance.
Yeah, I think the matchup for there in that game would be BC's rush defense versus Keaton Mitchell and East Carolina, because Ehlers runs the ball very well. Started off his career as a Wildcat quarterback, and Mitchell's averaging 6.5 yards a carry. Very, very exciting back for East Carolina and the Pirates. But honestly, I see as a balanced attack as East Carolina has, I see Boston College countering it, going, I guess, maybe like sort of vintage Boston College, like to the Adazio days, just hammering it down with Pat Garwo. Because East Carolina's pass defense is great, anchored by Jaquan McMillan, who got some All-American honors. Really excited for that McMillan versus Zay Flowers matchup. Should be really intriguing there. So yeah, I honestly can't give a prediction for this one. I do say maybe Boston College gets a couple of points in terms of, I guess, not really points, but I guess gets some leeway, gets an added edge in terms of morale, because they're out of Boston bowling, because that was a huge thing, I guess, that Coach Hafley, that Jeff Hafley made it a point to get Boston College out of Boston for bowl season, which is why I guess we're not seeing them in Fenway. So yeah, I guess added edge there, but even then, really close to call. But I think I want to think if Boston College wins in a very convincing way, this might be a huge momentum builder for 2022 with Dracovic coming back. I mean, they win convincingly. I got a good feeling for 2022 for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before the season. Dracovic was maybe a dark horse Heisman candidate. Ended up being Kenny Pickett instead. But if Dracovic hadn't gotten hurt, who knows what could have happened. So him coming back for another go around. I don't think the Eagles are losing too much this year. So yeah, it could be a nice springboard for them.
Yeah, absolutely too. And just honestly, like a lot of these bowls have been getting like slam dunks in terms of, like, I guess, getting good regional draws, like the Military Bowl, getting East Carolina from Greenville. I think that's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. I mean, very, very strong get there. And then Boston College fans, not too far away, Annapolis. So I mean, great job. That bowl's not sold out in a 34,000 seat. I think it's either 31 and 34,000, Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Then, yeah, I'd be surprised. So great get there, Military Bowl organizers, and it should be a fun game there. So moving on to our next bowl, I guess we'll keep on with the Power 5 versus Group of 5 trend, the Fenway Bowl. We got Virginia SMU. I think this one might be one of the more underrated bowl games of the whole season, simply because you got Brennan Armstrong versus Tanner Mordecai. I'm not sure if Mordecai declared for the draft, though. I think I'm not so sure about that. So I'm going to ask you.
I haven't heard anything about it. The last I heard, he was playing in this game. So if he declares, he'll still play. I don't know, but yeah, I have no knowledge of him not playing in this game.
Yeah, so I guess with that being said, who do you have coming out on top on this one? It's Bronco Mendenhall's last game. In the foreseeable future, I do see him coming back to the coaching ranks, but added motivation there for the Cavaliers. SMU's rolling in with a very bad pass defense, which I'm sure Brennan Armstrong will feast on. But even then, SMU holds their own against Power 5 schools and really, I mean, solid teams all the time.
Yeah. So This is an interesting one because we're going to have a bunch of guys probably not playing. I think Virginia's got 5 or 6 guys in the transfer portal, 5 or 6 starters, I should say, in the transfer portal. Now, some of them may take their name out, but I don't know if they're going to be playing in this game or not. SMU is also going to have a new head coach after the departure of Sonny Dykes. So that I think that staff is going to be coaching the game, but new incoming coach Rhett Lashley has certainly got some familiarity with ACC teams, and particularly Virginia, obviously, as former offensive coordinator from Miami. So maybe he can give some insight there. He's not going to be coaching, but I'm sure that his new staff will hit him up for some questions here. Also, 2 of Tanner Mordecai's top targets in Reggie Roberson and Daniel Gray, I think both opted out. So he's not going to be able to sling the ball to them. But I think the guys that are playing, if indeed Mordecai plays and Brennan Armstrong looks like he will play as well, not going to be transferring as far as I know, make this another interesting quarterback duel. Both teams have actually lost 4 of their last 5. So, I guess we'll see who kind of pulls themselves out of the tailspin a little bit better with all new coaching staffs, all new, well, not all new, but a bunch of new players or guys opting out. It's really tough to say who's what to expect here. So I'm going to just go kind of on the house money and stick with the Power 5 team and say that I think UVA is going to take it.
Okay, yeah, and to your point earlier on, excuse me, at the start of this podcast about it being hard to call these bowls, I had no idea that that much was in flux with this bowl game. Of course, the big draw here is the game being at Fenway. Other than that, yeah, you get to see two of the best quarterbacks out there. And also too, I mean, you see I think Virginia's got one of the more unique offenses too, because they have the use of the football player position. I know Katon Thompson was making a lot of news. I'm not sure if he's one of the opt-outs or transfers, Katon Thompson, but
I don't think so.
Like a lot of. Oh, you don't think so?
Yeah, I got I don't have him on the list. I have 5 starters here, although one of the starters is the center, Oluwatamai, who was a Remington Award finalist. So if he does end up transferring and not playing, obviously that's a huge loss.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I guess that's great then. So, yeah. So I guess I'll keep on going about Katon Thompson. So, yeah, this is a guy that played quarterback at Mississippi State, and he's been around long enough. He's one of those guys, one of those Perry Ellis guys that's been around college football / basketball, I guess, for a long time. Backed up Nick Fitzgerald, then transferred to Virginia. And I think he transferred somewhere else in between. But ended up at Virginia and having 990 receiving yards. But I'm going to go with SMU, honestly, with this one, too. Actually, no, I'm going to flip too, because it's hard to ignore that 125th ranked pass game, or pass defense against Brennan Armstrong. And I think Brennan Armstrong's healthy at this point too, because I know he was injured for the Notre Dame game and a couple games before that. So got to go with Virginia here. I'm a group of 5 guy, but it's just hard to ignore the pass defense there. So Fenway Park, in terms of, I'll add my geography bit into, in terms of getting attractive teams here. Boston College would have been the selling point in an ideal year, with Syracuse being next, or maybe not Syracuse, but Syracuse being, I guess, the next best draw. But they settled for Virginia, and maybe Virginia fans will travel for that once in a lifetime trip, or maybe once every 4 years trip with the way things are shaking out in the ACC. And SMU fans, I'm sure they'll travel fairly well, even though going from Dallas in December to Boston is a very hard sell. So we'll see. I'll be there. I mean, I'll be there as a neutral party.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my only question is, are the Virginia fans going to wear suits, or are they going to wear like khakis and loafers?
Oh man, that's a good question. Shoot, I'm thinking overcoats, maybe a jersey underneath, but it's definitely overcoat weather.
Maybe. I went to a Jimmy V Classic game several years ago, when UConn was playing and Virginia was playing. I think they might have been playing West Virginia. I forget. Anyway, Virginia was playing in the 7 o'clock game beforehand, and you could tell who all the all the Virginia. I mean, obviously they were coming after work. Probably most of them were working on Wall Street, but you could tell who was a Virginia fan because they were they were all in their business casual, whereas every other fan was rocking a team hoodie or jersey or T-shirt or what have you.
I guess I'll meet you in the middle there in terms of a fan apparel. I feel like we'll see a lot of Virginia fans in those like 80s styles, like script sweaters with like the stripes on each end. I feel like that kind of more fits the vibe. But yeah, that definitely will be something I'll watch out for on that day at that game. So speaking of another ballpark game in the Northeast, we have the Pinstripe Bowl, which I'm so mad at Pinstripe Bowl organizers for this one, how they couldn't pair Virginia versus Maryland. They went with Virginia Tech instead. Like I'm just very disappointed, but I guess still a good matchup too. The main draw here being Maryland's offense with a Talia Tungavailoa throwing for over 3,500 yards this year, and just a high-powered Maryland offense at times, I will say. I mean, this is otherwise bland Virginia Tech team, averaging 25 points per game. Braxton Burmeister had, I'd say, a solid year, 500 rushing yards after sacks, about 2,000 passing yards, but really not much else to really write home to mom about for this Virginia Tech team. So I want to know your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, this is another one that we've got a lot of turnover. So I'm seeing 5 starters for Virginia Tech opting out for the NFL draft, which is kind of surprising to me. I didn't think they had that many guys eligible. We have a couple of their other guys that look like probably going to the transfer portal as well, that are not going to the draft. Starting punt returner Tavion Robinson, as well as backup quarterback Knox Kadum. So they're going to be, without probably 7 pretty decent contributors here. So Maryland loses a couple of guys to the transfer portal, but I think nobody that was really going to see impactful time in this bowl. Obviously, Talua is still there. Raheem Jarrett was one maybe that we worried about, but apparently he's playing. So I like Maryland. I mean, they have more of their team in place. We talked about motivation a little bit before. Maybe it's a cop out, maybe it's not, but Maryland feels probably pretty good about their season. Being eligible for a bowl and beating Rutgers in that sudden death game that we talked about so much this year. So yeah, I think Maryland's going to take this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree too. Again, looking at the opt-outs too for Virginia Tech. I mean, what else is there to say, really? Just like I said, a bland team, not great on defense, not great on offense. I mean, Maryland might want to make it a track meet, honestly, at the start, because I'm not sure Virginia Tech will be able to keep up if it becomes a track meet. So it all depends on the weather, of course, in New York City on that day. If the winds are swirling and everything, then, maybe it becomes Virginia Tech's game because they got a strong run game. Like I said, Burmeister running the ball well, averaging about 190 yards per game rushing the ball, I think. So yeah, I mean, if the weather takes over, then I can see it being Virginia Tech's game, but that's really the only scenario I see. But I guess it's cool to see that sort of strange period of the 2005 to 2013 conference realignment, returning with this matchup, Virginia Tech, Maryland, that brief moment in time that we had where we can not cry because it's over, but smile because it happened. I'm not even sure if they're even in the same division, honestly, but that's that. So should be a fun game. I think Maryland fans might be getting frustrated with their bowl destinations too, because I think 2016 they had Detroit. Now they have New York City. I mean, I'm sure they're cheering to go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll take it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's the last bowl in a while for this team. I can see them being a middling team in the Big Ten East. I just think they just need experience, but that's really all.
Right on.
But yeah, so I guess going down the list, there's Outback Military Armed Forces, Pinstripe, Fenway. I guess we're down to our last bowl, pretty much the crowning bowl of the Northeast, the Peach Bowl. You have Pitt versus Michigan State. I think this is the first New Year's Six game for a Northeastern team since UConn winning the Big East in 2010, unless you want to count West Virginia as a Northeastern school. I don't know by your metric if West
Penn
Virginia.
State in who was it, a couple years ago against Memphis?
Oh shoot,
Was
my
it the
bad.
Cotton Bowl?
Jeez. Oh
What
yeah, the
bowl was
Cotton
it?
Bowl. Yeah, since
Yeah.
2019. I guess. Sorry, let me backtrack on that one. The first New Year's Six Bowl for a team that was in the old Big East, I guess, for a former Big
Okay.
East member, since the Big East disbanded. Yeah, I think that's true. And the first New Year's Bowl for Pitt since 2004, and I don't think they've won a New Year's Bowl since the Dan Marino Sugar Bowl back in like '82, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think that might be their last New Year's Day bowl win, honestly.
Wow. That's history you're talking about right there.
Yeah, I'll verify, but I guess while I verify, I want to know your thoughts on this game, of course.
Yeah, so big news here. Kenneth Walker III, star running back, who I think kind of got robbed in the Heisman voting. He should have at least been invited to New York, but that's another story for another day. He's opting out. He's not playing in this game. Still no word on Kenny Pickett from what I can tell. So that'll be the big determining factor, I think. Obviously, if he plays, I think he can carve up Michigan State's passing defense like a Christmas ham here. If he doesn't, I don't know what's going to happen. I think probably that Pitt doesn't win. I think Mel Tucker is a really solid coach. I think with even if Kenny Pickett does play, I think this is going to be a close game, and I think probably Pitt wins, but it'll be a pretty good matchup. If Pickett doesn't play, then I think Michigan State wins handily. Pitt is going to be without Mark Whipple. He left to go take the OC position at Nebraska. So I don't think that's going to hurt them that much. I feel like, and I could be wrong, that Whipple was much better as a developer of talent than an in-game OC. But I'd want to go and talk to a Pitt fan or someone who's a better of a Pitt authority than myself. That's just my impression on Whipple. But anyway, there you have it.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, Kenneth Walker, huge one too. But it's hard to ignore the SMU pass defense. It's hard to ignore Michigan State's pass defense, last ranked in the country, which I had to do a double take when I was reading it. It's pretty, and it was pretty, I guess, apparent too against Ohio State. Against Ohio State on November 20th too, when they caught behind really quick and took Kenneth Walker out of being a factor in that game and put it in Peyton Thorne's hands too, which, I mean, Peyton Thorne had a nice year. I think 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. But again, he works better, I guess, when the run game is doing well and Kenneth Walker is working. But again, it's gonna be Peyton Thorne's game early on to duel with Kenny Pickett if he plays, which I think if he's undecided too, I feel like he's leaning towards playing. I don't want to jinx it. I want to see Kenny Pickett one more time, but we'll see with that one. But again, even with if Pickett doesn't play, I'm sure Addison's still playing too. Jordan Addison would still be playing in this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. I have not heard that he would opt out, but who knows?
Yeah, so I guess with Addison, with that being said, so Addison playing as well, feasting on that last ranked Michigan State pass defense. Hard to go against Pitt in this one as well. Mark Whipple, I will say, this has got to be the biggest, like, if there's a comeback coach of the year, it's got to be Mark Whipple. After how I won't say unceremonious, because we've seen probably the most unceremonious coaching exit that we'll see in our lifetime with Urban Meyer. Where do we begin there? But Mark Whipple, very unceremonious exit from UMass. I think he was suspended for saying that the officials raped them against Ohio. Not a good situation at all. But it's good to see Mark Whipple, who on various, he has a parody Twitter account that's pretty popular among Pitt fans. I think I followed it myself. I'm not a Pitt fan, but I just think it's funny. And I think in his bio he calls himself Big Dick Whip, which is, it's funny. I think he should trademark that. But great redemption for him there. But yeah, I'm not sure what the line is too for that one, but I think Pitt covers, honestly. I think they get up early and Michigan State just has trouble
I
coming
just
back.
saw one. I think this was ESPN had Michigan State +1.
+1. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an easy cover for Pitt, honestly.
Yeah, and this may have been before Walker opted out. I don't know, so I'd have to take a look. But yeah, I mean, it all hinges on if Kenny plays, and I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like the NIL stuff has got to mean that more of these guys are playing in bowl games. Take a big insurance policy out. Do what you got to do. But Peach Bowl, it's not like it's I don't know, East Bumbleweed Gasparilla Bad Boy Bowl or something. Like it's a real bowl. So like, yeah, if you're the boosters for Pitt, get that checkbook out. Make Kenny feel the love. Get him in that bowl game, and get a good insurance policy. Pitt. I don't want to see anybody, have their dreams crushed here. But these bowl games, they're something. Peach Bowl is not it's not a glorified exhibition in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is New Year's Six game in the end, but 2-10-2 teams, something to improve. So yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Get, like you said, get the checkbooks out, which if they didn't, I guess not waste, they didn't spend all their money for ESD, then, and they got some left over. Why not give the kitchen sink to Kenny Pickett? So yeah, it should be a good game for sure out in Atlanta. And that is all the Northeastern bowls with any teams playing the Northeast or that are in the Northeast. John, do you have anything to add?
Hey, it's been a fun season, Omar. Loved watching it. Keep it rolling through the bowl games, and do what we always do.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to doing this next year already. Bowl games are always fun to look at, and hopefully, we'll see more Northeastern teams. Looking at Temple, yeah, just Temple, because I don't want to wish Navy going to a bowl game. I don't want to ruin my credibility with Army Twitter, and I don't see UConn making it happen. I don't see UMass making it happen. Even though I guess on a closing note, I can't see Don Brown, creating some change at UMass, but I don't know if it's enough for a bowl next year.
Yeah, it's interesting with those independent teams. I think you could have a pretty quick turnaround at a spot like UMass or UConn. I haven't looked at their schedules for next year, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to be bowl eligible in a year or two. Those it seems like I'm less involved on social media for UMass, but it seemed like Jim Mora has been making a pretty big splash for UConn recruiting, and if the schedule is favorable enough, yeah, I wouldn't expect it this year, but next year, I'm talking 2023. Bowl eligibility seems like it could be on the table.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess UConn becoming a consistent winner is, I guess, my biggest fear as an independent and Army fan, as an Army fan who is an independent, because then UConn fans will think that they're Army, that they're the preeminent Northeastern independent team, and it's just simply not the case. But that is something for another time. And I've had this internal, I guess, not really hatred, I guess, internal spite for that fear of UConn fans thinking that they've arrived on the independent scene. While the scene is big enough for the two of us, I'll just say this: you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. But before I get myself in trouble more, I think it's time to sign off. Yeah. So this has been a great year. Looking forward to doing this more next year. And of course, the podcast periods is in the winter too. I'm sure we'll find some Northeastern podcast topics for sure. But yeah, it's been fun. So until next time, peace, love, and soul.